Harmonizers, welcome to Fun Adventures in California. I wanted to pull out some older footage of when I did my road trip over to the Western States Expo, as well as traveling around California. It was pretty epic, and I wanted to share with you guys some super fun moments from this, which include sharing some building confidence tips with horses. And these horses here, like this is Alicia, who's been my off-the-track thoroughbred that I trained for the thoroughbred makeover in 2021. She ended up being America's Most Wanted Thoroughbred. Super proud of her. And one of the things that I do is I train specifically for building confidence when we can control the environment, so we can dial things up or dial things down depending on how the horse is responding. So for example, I'm waving this noodle behind Alicia. That's a different person riding her. I'm teaching the clinic demo. And we're just kind of showing how you can practice having things behind your horse that your horse doesn't need to look at. Because if you think about it, when you're on a trail ride or if you're at a horse show, you can't turn and look at everything. So even though it's a common thing in the horse world that you turn your horse to look at things that are scaring them, it's not always possible, especially if you're on a narrow trail. Turning around to look isn't going to be an okay thing to do. Or if you're in a horse show, you can't turn and look at whatever it is. And sometimes you could be in dangerous situations where it doesn't work to be able to turn and look at whatever it is that's upsetting your horse. So it's so important that we practice this of things can happen behind you, and I need you to trust me and realize that it's okay and you don't need to look. And when we control the environment, where it's me controlling this noodle thing that I'm flapping around, I'm observing the horses, and if it's really upsetting them, I can do less. Or if it's not even sort of challenging them, I can do more. And we get to practice that skill of, oh, what's that behind me? Oh, it's no big deal. I just get a cookie for not responding. And we want it to look like how the horses do here, where it's pretty easygoing. They're not upset. They're just like, what's happening? There's just this lady walking around with a giant noodle, and it's not upsetting at all. And then even there, I was just kind of motioning of taking the noodle towards the horse. And as long as my body's not at the horse, they're not going to perceive me as taking anything to them. So it's super important that if you're practicing this, that your body's not facing the horse, your belly button's not pointing at them, directing whatever it is. And you can see Lissy gets a cookie there for not being upset that I allowed the floppy noodle to touch her. And it's an important thing for her to be able to get confident with all of these pieces. So I'm just walking around, showing her the different options, where I can have it in front, I can have it behind, I can have it gently fall on her. This is a very soft pole, so there's nothing painful about this. There's nothing that can hurt her. It doesn't really have a lot of weight or anything to that. So it's something that I can pass to them. They can hold it. It can touch the horse. And it's also important that when we do these types of things, we make sure that our horses don't get hurt by the things that we're doing. I also got to travel out to a farm out in California and help some people with their horses out there and see what they were doing, which was so beautiful to be in California and see how horses are kept out there with, they had a really neat setup with these big pastures and tossing the horses hay. It's just really neat to see how different people keep their horses around the world, because you can learn lots of different things by traveling. And we were working on some relaxation pieces. They were showing me some of the things that they were struggling with. And this here we were working on was maintaining your space without feeling the need to move your feet, which can help the horse feel like there's a consistent boundary, which can keep them both safe, helping both people, both the horse and the human, feel safe, which can help both the horse and the human feel more relaxed and be able to take on more adventures together. So that was pretty cool to see that. And then here's another little clip. This is at the same farm, a horse working on, again, that building confidence piece, where you can see the horse walked around the corner there and was like, oh my gosh, there's a flag and it's blowing. They're a little bit nervous. And so the human's trying to find the right spot of where can we stop, where we're not staring at this flag, this gently blowing flag. And so they stop kind of off to the side there, offer some praise, a cookie, some rubs, help the horse realize like, yep, like that's what I was asking you to do. And then they're going to come around and repeat that task with the goal of trying to be closer to that flag that's waving a little bit and seeing if they can start to close that gap of how far they have to be away for the horse to feel more comfortable with it. So here you can see they try stopping again, and the horse drifts away a little bit, kind of goes sideways away from it. So they just drift with the horse a little bit. And then the horse ends up being able to stand still, this time closer, because it didn't take them all the way over to the fence this time. So a little bit of progress there, giving the horse praise and reassurance, allowing the horse time to think about what's going on. Because this is a horse that was being very reactive and upset by different things like this. And usually the horse is kind of keeping its eye on that flag. And so it's showing you, how can we do this in a way that's not just flooding the horse? So flooding the horse would mean you take the object and you just force the horse to get used to it. This is more about respecting those thresholds, those boundaries, and saying like, hey, like, I know this is hard for you and you want to look at that or you want to get further away, but let's try to stop. And then I'm going to praise you for being able to stop closer to that. So you can see the horse struggles there a little bit. It's like, okay, it's very hard to be beside this thing. And it kind of swung its hip around, and the person's coming back to try again, going past in just different spots of where they can stand. And the idea is that they can get the horse's eye not to be staring at this object. And she's having to go pretty far away to keep the horse from feeling the need to be right on it. And the flag is, of course, blowing around. It is a windy day, and horses can be a little bit more reactive when things are moving. But then the horse starts to get a lot more confident, and she's able to start to move the horse past the flag, near the flag, stopping, and was really kind of making her aware of, see how that horse kind of tips the hip out of, okay, if your horse is trying to avoid having that there, let's try to work on our body position, get that a little bit more clear. Pretty amazing that the horse can go through where the flag is, and then working on being able to stay stopped without that hip swinging so much. And overall, ended up building a lot of confidence. Went from being really kind of jumpy and reactive in the beginning to getting a lot more calm and confident, and then the horse understanding that they get praise for doing those things that are being asked of them. So we're going to jump back over to the Western States Expo. For this, I think this is pretty epic. We were working on this building confidence clinic, and this golf cart came over to bring something else over. And I was like, hey, do you want to be part of our demo for a second here? You can come drive the expo or the golf cart in here, and the horses are working on these building confidence tasks. And how cool would that be if you're ripping around in your golf cart? And so we worked on some pieces before we got to this part where the golf cart's flying around and we've got horses cantering around. We started off with the horses walking and then building up the speed to get to trotting. And we showed the difference between working on things coming up behind versus things in front. But check this out. The golf cart is like just going right by. And this is a great way to practice road safety and getting your horses to a place where they can feel confident with vehicles going around them. You do it in a situation like this where you can control what's going on. Because if, let's say, a horse started to bolt or get upset, then what would happen is the golf cart could slow down, or you could have more distance, like you know where it is. So we can stay within where our horse's threshold's at. So here we were working on cantering and having the golf cart go past, and having something like that ripping around, going around the outside edge there. And you can see the horses did really well, and the rider's doing a great job of giving the horses praise, even a cookie, for not reacting and not being upset by that whole experience. So that was so fun to do, and it was definitely one of those just seizing the moment of an opportunity. I was like, hey, we're teaching this topic and you're here with this golf cart, like, let's do this. It was not something that we practiced for before. But the other super cool thing about it is you can see that because we do all of this other building confidence stuff, whether it's with those foam pole things or with the tarps, all the other stuff that we do, even though we'd never practiced this golf cart thing before, the horses were completely unfazed. And if you're thinking, oh, well, that's because they're old horses and they've done lots of this stuff before. No, they aren't. The one horse, Nova, I think at the time she would have been, I can't remember if she was a 6-year-old or 7-year-old, but a relatively young-ish horse on her first tour of doing a big expo like this. And Alicia was an off-the-track thoroughbred that had only been off the track for a couple years at this time. So let me know what was your favorite part of our California road trip.
Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.